Some of the darkest nightmares don't come from ghosts, creatures, or shadows lurking in abandoned places. They come from people. Ordinary faces that blend into crowds, neighbors you barely notice, strangers you cross paths with once. Tonight's stories are not about monsters born from imagination. They are about stalkers, real individuals whose obsession quietly grows until it twists into something terrifying. These 3 true cases show how quickly a normal life can unravel, how fear can become a constant companion, and how some obsessions don't stop until everything is destroyed. Now, turn off the lights if you dare. Here are 3 true stalker cases so disturbing you won't sleep tonight. Lena Myers first noticed him in December, a few days before the snowstorm that swallowed her small town. She was locking up the convenience store she managed when she caught a glimpse of someone standing across the street, motionless, staring directly at her. At first, she brushed it off as someone waiting for a ride. But the next night he was there again. Same place, same stillness, same direction of his eyes. Lena tried to ignore it, convincing herself she was imagining the tension tightening her chest. But the third night, she realized she wasn't mistaken. As she pulled the metal shutters down, the man took a single step forward into the dim glow of the street lamp. His hood shaded his face, but she saw the shape of his lips curve upward into a slow, knowing smile. That night, Lena lay awake in her apartment above the shop, replaying the image over and over. Something about the smile felt unnatural, too slow, too deliberate, like he knew something she didn't. The next evening, she told her coworker Isaac about it. He laughed at first, teasing her about having a secret admirer. But when he walked her outside after closing, his joking faded. The man was there again, standing in that exact same place. But this time he wasn't alone. A long, deep scratch ran from his cheek down to his collarbone, fresh enough to still glisten under the light. "Let's get inside," Isaac whispered, guiding her back in. They locked the door and waited 10 minutes before peeking outside again. The man was gone. Lena slept at Isaac's place that night, but sleep didn't ease her fear. She dreamed of footsteps crunching through snow, slow and rhythmic, stopping beneath her window. When she opened her eyes the next morning, her phone buzzed with a notification. An airdrop request from an unknown sender. The image. A picture of her bedroom window taken from the outside. She froze. Her curtains had been slightly open the night before. Her hands shook so badly she dropped the phone. The realization hit her like ice. The man hadn't just been watching her. He had been close enough to reach up and touch the glass. She went to the police, but they offered little help. Probably some kid messing around, they said. But Lena knew what she saw. And she knew the photo wasn't from a kid. The next few nights passed without incident, and she tried to convince herself the ordeal was over. Until one night, she woke to a faint tapping sound. Tap, 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 like someone touching the glass with their fingernail. Her heart stopped. Slowly, she turned her head toward the window. A silhouette loomed on the other side. She couldn't see his eyes, but she felt them. Cold, focused, hungry. Before she could scream, her phone vibrated again. Another image airdropped. She stared at it with horror. It was a picture of her sleeping, taken from inside her apartment. Lena bolted from bed and ran into the hallway, stumbling as she dialed emergency services. When officers finally arrived, the window was open, and fresh footprints led down the fire escape. They searched the area but found nothing. She moved out of the apartment the next day, quitting her job and staying with family an hour away. But sometimes late at night, she still hears tapping on her window. 3 soft taps, like a chilling reminder that some stalkers don't give up. Daniel Hayes was a quiet substitute teacher who never caused trouble, never raised his voice, never drew attention. That's why the first letter surprised him. It arrived tucked under his windshield wiper after school. A neat, handwritten note sealed in a pale blue envelope. "I love the way you smile at the students. You have a gentle soul." He frowned but dismissed it as an odd compliment from a parent. But then came the second letter. And the third. Each one placed carefully on his car at the end of the school day. You looked sad today. Who upset you? I wish those kids realized how lucky they are to have you. I follow you home because I want to make sure you're safe. Daniel's blood ran cold reading that last line. Someone was following him, watching him, tracking his every movement. He reported it to the principal, who advised him to change his routine and be cautious. But the letters didn't stop. They became more personal. I love the way you brush your hair back when you're nervous. You don't lock your kitchen window properly. You shouldn't leave your shoes near the bedroom door. Someone could trip. Daniel lived alone. No one had any reason to be inside his house, or know where he placed his shoes. Panic clawed at him. He changed his locks, installed cameras, even got a dog. For a week nothing happened. Then one morning, he found a letter taped to his bathroom mirror. You can lock all the doors you want. I'm already inside. Every hair on Daniel's body rose. He backed out of the bathroom slowly, grabbing his phone with trembling hands. The police searched the home but found no signs of forced entry. They told him the letter might have been placed earlier. But Daniel knew better. He had cleaned the mirror the night before. At school he became paranoid. Every student, every staff member, every parent looked like a potential suspect. His hands shook while teaching, his voice cracked, and he barely slept. One afternoon he found another letter. But this time it wasn't handwritten. It was printed. Cold. Emotionless. You don't smile anymore. Why not? He couldn't take it anymore. Daniel packed his things, resigned from the school, and moved to another city. For a month he lived in peace. Quiet, calm, finally breathing again. But then, on a rainy evening, he opened his mailbox and froze. Inside was a pale blue envelope. The same handwriting. The same unsettling neatness. I missed you. Did you miss me? Daniel dropped the letter and stared into the fog-covered street. Someone was out there, watching, waiting. Nora Williams checked into Ridgeway Hospital after a severe asthma attack landed her in the ER. Room 406 was dim and smelled faintly of disinfectant. She hated hospitals, but she needed treatment. The nurses were kind, and the doctors were attentive, except for one unfamiliar face. A man she didn't recognize stood near her door the first night, wearing no badge, no uniform, just a dark coat. He watched her as she drifted in and out of sleep. She assumed he was a visitor for another patient. But at 3 a.m, she woke to find him standing inside her room. "Can I help you?" she whispered, her voice shaky. He didn't respond. He simply smiled and stepped backward into the shadows until he disappeared. She pressed the call button immediately. But when nurses searched the floor, no one found him. "You're probably having medication-induced dreams," they insisted. But Nora knew what she saw. The next night, she woke to the sound of humming. A soft, tuneless melody coming from the hallway. She peeked through the door's window, and there he was, standing perfectly still, facing her door, humming. She backed away slowly. Something about him felt wrong. Too stiff, too silent, like he wasn't entirely human. But the fear in her gut told her he was very real. At 4 a.m., her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "Room 406. My favorite." Her heart slammed in her chest. She turned off the lights, hiding under her blanket like a terrified child. But then the door creaked. Someone was pushing it open, slowly, deliberately. Through the thin crack between blanket and mattress, Nora saw the same dark coat, the same silent posture. He stood at the foot of her bed, watching, breathing heavily. A nurse entered moments later, and the man slipped out like a shadow dissolving into darkness. "There's no one here," the nurse said after checking the hallway. Nora discharged herself the next morning despite the doctor's objections. She would rather risk breathing complications than endure another minute in room 406. But her nightmare wasn't over. A week later she received a voicemail. Heavy breathing. Then a whisper. "I miss room 406. And I miss you." The call ended. At that same moment, her apartment's power flickered. And from outside her window, she heard that same humming drifting through the night. Stalkers don't always knock on your door, break into your home, or leave obvious threats. Sometimes they linger quietly, watching, waiting, studying your routines until they know you better than you know yourself. The most terrifying part isn't their presence. It's the moment you realize they've been there far longer than you thought. If these stories kept you on edge tonight, let me know which one chilled you the most. And remember, always lock your windows.